Good evening from Washington. I'm Larry O'Connor, and 24 hours from now, you'll be watching our extensive election night coverage right here on Salem News Channel with my colleagues Andrew Wilkow, Hugh Hewitt, and Sebastian Gorka. And depending on whether this is a red ripple, a red wave, or a red tsunami, it's all going to be because of districts like the 7th Congressional District in Virginia. Part rural, part suburban, near a major urban center like Washington, D.C., and an incumbent Democrat who won in 2018 in the post-Trump wave, now fighting for her political life. That would be Abigail Spanberger, against a dynamic challenger, Yesli Vega, the Republican nominee. She joins us now. Yesli Vega, I'm sorry, there must be something wrong. I was told you were a white supremacist.
Welcome to the club, right? That's what I always say. You know that they're running out of ideas. They can't enter the political arena on their policy or on their record because, quite frankly, they have none that they can run on. So they have to resort to name calling, smears, lies, attacks, because they have nothing to run on. So we've been so excited to hit the ground running here in the 7th District, talking to voters about the issues that matter to them and blocking out all the noise, Larry. And that is why we're going to win tomorrow.
Well, you know, I live in the Washington area and I see the ads. I cannot believe what they've thrown at you for months now. But I can't imagine this is really sticking because, Yesli Vega, you are a member of law enforcement in your district. You are a military veteran. You serve as a county supervisor in Prince William County, Virginia. So, I mean, I would think if you were as awful as the Spanberger campaign says you are, your voters would have known that by now.
And that's right, Larry. You know, we made history here in Prince William County when I was first elected to the Board of Supervisors in 2019. And I'm so proud of the work that we've been able to accomplish here over the last 3 years. And that's the contrast between me and my opponent, is that I have a record of delivering for my constituents, for fighting for their interest, and for holding the line. Abigail can't say the same thing. So that is why she has to, you know, run a campaign, pretty much one where she's hiding, mirroring what Joe Biden did, cowered out of our debate, because what is she going to say about the economy? What is she going to say about the southern border that's been wide open? She has no solutions. She's enabled the Biden-Pelosi tax and spend agenda every single step of the way. And we've been talking to voters about that. They're tired of her double standards and her lip service. And again, that is why we have the momentum. The energy on the ground is incredible. And we're going to deliver tomorrow. I firmly believe that we will.
Yeah, your district, this race is on the national spotlight. Absolutely. Everyone is talking about it on the national shows from coast to coast. And I think part of it is because of, you just brought up the border. So many people in this country now recognize the reality that their neighborhoods, their suburban neighborhoods, their city is now a border town because of these policies. And as a member of a legal immigrant family, I would love for you to reflect on your policies and how they differ from your Democrat opponent.
You know, Abigail has turned a blind eye to the chaos that she has caused at the southern border. You know, she goes to my parents' birth country of El Salvador to talk about illegal migration and organized crime. But ask her how many trips she's taken to the southern border. Zero. Ask her how many times she's met with her party immigration czar to talk about the humanitarian crisis at the border. Zero. Over the last few years, they talked about the children that were in cages. Ask her how many of those children continue to be in cages and how that number has tripled under this administration. She's done nothing to provide resources to the brave men and women at the southern border, not just to do their jobs, but to also protect America's interests. They've enabled this, they've caused this, and this is why folks here in the 7th District and across our nation are tired. I'll share with you, Larry, that I had a roundtable with members of law enforcement here in the 7th District, and I was talking to one of the sheriffs who was telling me that we're dealing with a cartel activity here in the 7th District. So yes, it doesn't matter how much the Democrats try to deny it. Every single district now in the United States of America is a border district because of their failed policies, but we're going to correct that when we take the House tomorrow. And it's not just going to be here in the 7th District. We're going to see so many seats flip across our nation because folks have had enough. They're sick and tired of the chaos that this administration have brought to the American people, and they're ready for change, Larry.
Well, and Yesli Vega, if you say what you just said about the crime problems and the cartel problems in a suburban D.C. neighborhood like the 7th District, suddenly you're saying, oh, well, you're saying all immigrants are criminals. Well, of course you're not. You're an immigrant yourself, a legal immigrant. But there's no denying that there is a criminal element. And oh, by the way, the victims of those criminals are in fact immigrants. So if anything, it's a very pro-immigrant message to say we got to stop this because of the crime.
Right. And if you talk to Hispanic voters here in the 7th District, that's exactly what they were saying. I was knocking doors in eastern Prince William County yesterday, and I was talking to Fernando, who told me, Larry, that he has been in this country for 40 years. He left El Salvador 40 years ago, and he said to me, I don't recognize what America has become. This president is doing absolutely nothing about this situation. And he choked a little as he was speaking to me, and he said, I love this country, and I want to die here. I don't know that under this administration that's going to be possible. One, people can't afford, to stay here as much as they want to. But two, the Democrat Party only talks about Latino voters, women and children being victims at the border when it benefits them. They've been in power for 2 years. What have they done? Nothing to solve this problem. They've made it worse. And that is why voters are going to flood the polls tomorrow, and they are going to send a loud message to the Biden, Pelosi, and Spanberg administration. No more. We've had enough.
I've had the pleasure of interviewing you because I do a radio program here in the Washington area, and I've gotten to know you over the last year, really. I know how important national security is to you as a military veteran yourself. Abigail Spanberger ran as a former CIA analyst. You would think she would have some national security cred, too. Isn't it strange that either she wasn't asked to give advice to the Biden administration with their disastrous pullout of Afghanistan, or, God forbid, she did give them advice and, well, look what happened. Either way, I'm actually concerned that given her credentials, she doesn't have more to say about what's going on with our military.
There's a reason why they didn't come to her. She talks a big game about, being involved and being an expert on all things. But quite frank, Larry, serving with my husband in South Korea, I will tell you that experience doesn't always translate to common sense. If that were the case, Joe Biden would be the best president America has ever had. And the same can be said about Abigail. She likes to talk about a big game about being, in the CIA. But again, where is your expertise when it comes to these matters? You don't find her anywhere. And so, I talk about being in South Korea with my husband and my children. Every time that the communist North would make a threat, the missile interceptors would transform, and our son actually would refer to them as transformers because they would point in the direction of where the threat was coming from. I firmly believe that, weakness invites aggression, and that is why, we've seen our military weakened under this president, why we, had such a horrible withdrawal from Afghanistan, and why we're seeing, situations unfold in Russia like we have seen. And so it's time that, we right this shift. It's time that we send real conservative fighters to Washington to fight on behalf of the American people. And I think we're going to do just that come tomorrow, Larry.
You've had some great star power out there campaigning for you because it's such an important seat, from Governor Glenn Youngkin of Virginia to Senator Ted Cruz of Texas. I'm curious, should you win, and there are a lot of other Hispanic American Republicans running right now, there could be a huge crop of y'all coming into the House. Are you going to try to be part of the Hispanic caucus, or are you going to start your own caucus?
Well, if what happened to Mayra Flores is an indicator of what's to come, I don't think I'm going to be welcome, but that's okay. I'm not interested in being part of the good old boys club, if you will. I don't need to be a member of any caucus to deliver on behalf of the American people. I'm laser focused on rolling up my sleeves, getting to Washington, putting in the work, because that's what people expect from their public servants.
Thank you, Yesli Vega.
Thank you so much.
More to come on O'Connor Tonight.